Hello everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and I hope that you're having a Merry Christmas. Now, I wanted to take this time, since it's sort of the end of a year and we're looking into the future, what is going to happen to the collectibles markets? Is it going to be in a bear market, a bull market, or sort of a constant, maybe leveling off, because it has been super hot recently, but I don't know necessarily which of them that, is going to occur, but I have some ideas in terms of what would contribute to those ending up happening and what that would mean for different types of coins, different types of collecting, and so let's get right into this video. So the first category that I want to talk about is the possibility that we see a big collapse in the collectibles and coins market. I think that this would be bad for most people and a problem, but at the same time it would offer some really good opportunities to collectors who are really in it for the long haul and not as worried about the valuations. But I think that what would occur that would drive this would have to be some sort of either major like hyperinflationary environment, which I don't even really see happening. I think that we could see sustained periods of high inflation, but I don't know that that would necessarily correspond with a downturn in collectibles. And I think the other possibility would just be a massive crash, especially in something like the equities markets. You also, and I'll talk about this more later, but have to look at what in the market is crashing. So is it going to be a U.S. Stocks pop? Or is debt and interest rates going to go way up, which would probably bring stocks down quite a bit as well? Or maybe it's something like, there's different theories out there about overbuilt Asian real estate markets, or maybe it's something like, a new variant or something going on with COVID that caused the markets to jitter and there to be a lot more serious. And I don't think that that's going to happen, but you never know what could happen. Serious lockdowns and that sort of thing. So if it was like a much more problematic, dangerous variant that came about. But I think that with the coins market, the good thing that I think protects things from the downfall is that the internet is really helpful for the hobby. So it's super important for the hobby, I think, to have social media content, whether that's like really serious articles that are written from by dealers that have been in the game for 30-40 years, that cater to a really hardcore collector, or somebody like me who's probably in the newer to intermediate collector category. So hopefully I can offer something for everybody. But having that content out there, getting people excited, same thing, strong Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever social media platform, you name it, it's there. Awareness about coins and the idea that it is something fun and interesting and historic and artistic to be collecting. I think that really prevents it from a massive downturn where it just fades into complete obscurity, basically. And I think that a lot of, as a side note, the businesses that are going to do well in the long term are really thinking and crafting their social media and branding in a strong way. So I know some places do it better than others, and I think that's going to help continue to have those businesses, forget about the entire market, but people with a really good social media presence. And I don't really do a ton of dealing myself. I do a little bit, but not that much, especially with like inventory storage. That's always a issue for me. But the point is, that's sort of, if you're wondering about yourself, that's probably a place to start if you're coming at it from a business angle. But I think overall what happens if we see especially like a pop in the top end of the stock market, I think most of that wealth flows to the really wealthy, and those are the people that are purchasing these really nice coins. So normally everything's like trickle down. I think as I see it in coins, it's mostly like big people buying the best coins, driving those prices way up. Then more people after that have to settle for like what's a little bit under. So maybe not the top pop or not the coin with the highest eye appeal, but they still want to complete their cool collecting goals. So they go for maybe a really nice AU early gold coin instead of mint state, or something like that. And then the cycle continues, maybe the mint state 67s, Morgan dollars are getting bought up, and then the 66s become a little more expensive, and then somebody just wants to complete their set of mint state 64s because 65 is unattainable, and the list goes on and on. I think the other thing is that things that are less liquid can struggle during these periods. So, as much as I love varieties and errors, I think you can't liquidate them as fast, and there's not as many people with open bids on like all right, I'll buy 100 of your mint state, again, to use that example, $65 million common dates for this number because I know I can, put them to this guy for a little bit more. There's less of that going on with the niche area. So that could also include things like, I don't know, currency. It could include like metals, exonumia, really specialized issues. So whether that's like territorial gold or, like obscure varieties, but also maybe, even something like proof 2-cent pieces, something where there's not a huge amount of interest in terms of collecting every single coin there. Like those are the places that I think would get hurt a lot more than like, all right, this is the nicest coin out there for this classic commemorative, or this is one of the top 25 eye-appealing toner Morgans. Like some of that, I think that will also be hurt. Maybe toning gets hurt, but I think the point is like, especially really like the damaged or the cleaned or the coins that would come back in a details holder or they've been messed with. That's really going to be hurt a lot. It's already challenged, but when when prices are going down, you can easily get a supply glut. I think that's the other thing. A lot of people right now feel like they can get into coins because the markets are going up. Well, haven't really been in a down market from an equities perspective in a really long time, like 2008. 2020 there was a little bit of shaky things, but it started emerging super strong. And again, maybe if it's just a variant that caused things to be problematic, maybe you'd see coins hold up because it's something that you can do from the comfort of your own, home, or you don't have to go traveling around. Maybe you're not spending on vacation, but we haven't really seen like a sustain. A lot of people that have gotten in downturn in coins, so at that point, a lot more people are going to have to work for other people, larger businesses in the coin company. Maybe they're going to go back to a job that is more secure, less entrepreneurial, that's not involved with coins. But there's a lot of, potential for, as a lot of dealers, especially another big thing, if you're not turning over inventory, if you're sitting on things, especially if you're levered or you have somebody backing you and you need to sort of continue getting results, and all of a sudden you held on to a little too much inventory, were a little greedy, and now that's weighing you down, and you have to like sell. That pushes the markets down further and further and further if there's not a good source that's going to be absorbing all of it. Lastly, I think that, something I mentioned before, a really hot coin area in the market has been like Asian coins. So if a collapse was seen, for example, in Japan or China, or the collectors of Hong Kong material, those coins could be really affected, whereas others might not. Same thing if the United States equity stocks, I don't think that really is quite as much of a factor, but have been way stronger, outpacing most of the rest of the world. And the United States coins have always sort of been on top. I think world's definitely been stronger recently, but you have to think a little bit about what is going wrong where in the world. Now the next part, in terms of the normal scenario, which is probably all that I'm going to predict, just because we've had a really good run recently, and I don't know if you can continue going up and up at this rate. So I think this applies to all times, but it's really important in a normal sort of period to have a good eye, be trained to know the coins, be very aware of the information that you're working with. That's going to give you an advantage in any situation. Prioritize ethics and coin relationships, with other dealers and other collectors, so that you have a good network of people to buy and sell to. And I think that the sort of case for the normal thing playing out is that we've had a really nice rise. Now, if some markets, level off a little bit, I don't think that that's too big of a deal, as long as you don't see like the big supply glut or major factors outside of the coin collecting hurting it. I don't think that we're going to really see too much declining interest, because I think that's been a really cool thing. There's a lot more creators, there's a lot more people who are putting effort into publications, and the ease of the internet makes all this so much, easier. Not great vocabulary there, but easy to access. People can get really encouraged about coins, find plenty of content, and people are working more and more. And maybe some people don't see it as being quite that important, but I think that's what's been great for like sports cards, trading cards collecting, is just to have more vocal and more prominent voices out there, where it can sort of encourage each other and make sure that collectors can really find a home, find ways and the information that they need to know. Because that's another big thing, is that people need information to work on, but when they have that information, it makes them a lot more confident. And we'll get into that in a few moments in sort of the bull case, but that's something that could be a really positive factor in terms of preventing a huge slide if you have more and more people getting interested in coins. And as I sort of talked about before, with the normal case, you want to avoid coins that have problems with them. So that's just a really big point that I'd want to hammer home. If you're a collector who's just super interested in coins, really wants, that key date 1909 SVDB, and you can get one that's like really cleaned up and it's a folder filler and you'll complete the set, please, please, please wait and purchase a coin that's like has good eye appeal. Maybe it's a VF or, just something that doesn't look super clean, doesn't, have a big scratch all right through the focal points. Just really some things to think about. But the good news and the possible for a really bull case is, I think I'm going to almost throw out the like whole hyperinflation environment. I don't really know what would happen, and nobody really knows what would happen in that sort of case. If we continue to see steady, higher rates of inflation that isn't like a spiraling thing, historically that's been good for sort of coins, precious metals. People think that and the precious metals and coins are different, but people want to flow out of like the dollar and they want hard assets. Collectibles sort of go into that. The other thing about inflation is I really do think that sort of pushes things into the, if you're like an owner of like a private equity firm or something like that, then the surplus of dollars allows your investments to grow in terms of like the dollar value. You'll get maybe much larger bonuses, and then you can spend that on coins. Or the people who are running hedge funds, everything's up, their fees are up, they're able to take that money and spend it. Or if you're an executive of a big company and the price to earnings ratios keep on creeping up and up and up, and people are paying more, and you're getting your stock awards and able to exercise them and then go and spend that money on real estate, and maybe you're allocating a little bit to precious metals and an even smaller amount to coins, or maybe art sort of coins falls into that. That is where I think a lot of the strength that we've been seeing already, that's my guess, is where that's coming from. So I think if that continues, that's one thing. I think there's also a major other thing, which is that I think collectibles will be a little bit more established. Whether I talked about the information, and that's just continuing, especially with things like world coins. The States certainly has more awareness out there, but and I try to be a part of that more towards like the beginner to intermediate level. I don't really have like the capacity for super original research, though I think the big thing is that a company like Blackstone gets involved with NGC, Steve Cohen gets involved with PCGS, and then there's the whole sports trading cards, which is I think the big focus for why those grading companies and collectibles authentication were purchased. But I think that there's potential when you tie that with something like the blockchain, with NFTs, with the idea, I think one big thing is like mutual funds or like basket indexes that are actually tracking and very easy to buy into on the stock side. I mean, imagine if you have a lot of really smart people out there. Imagine if some of that carries over into like, and we see it with trading cards, vaulting material and then trading that digitally. But if you had that in a big way with coins, fractionalized ownership, I think we could just be on the beginning of a long sort of process of making coins and collectibles much more investable than they have been in the past, when there's a lot of fees. If you buy a rare coin, you're probably just going to go to an auction house and they'll do you well, but a lot of people are worried because their father got ripped off at a local coin shop, and how are they going to sell the coins? And they might not be aware of the auction houses out there that provide some of the cash immediately and can do a really good job for them. So that's, I think, where having these more built out and potentially people with bigger funding. I think the big collectibles companies have plenty of funding, but you have some people who are really shrewd and smart coming in, and maybe it's on more the like sports collectibles side and trading cards, that sort of thing. I like that stuff too. But I think that the coins would benefit from that, and I don't really know what, I don't know the tech behind it. I try to keep updated on like the crypto and blockchain and DeFi world. It's sort of confusing to me, but I think it's not super easy for anybody to understand at a fundamental level. But I think that there's just opportunity and potential for a good case for it. I don't think it's like people are going to get more materialistic. If anything, like coins is like a really nice way to preserve value that's really small and often more private, and you can now store it and show it online, which is a really big part of it. But I think the normal case, which is actually bolstered by some of what I talked about in the bull case, is what's most likely to play out. You just can't have markets that go up and up and up. Or maybe that'll happen because a lot of the coin prices are lower than they were 40 years ago, which isn't the best track record for the investability of the whole sector. But I just wanted to give my thoughts as we are celebrating Christmas, or if you're not celebrating Christmas, hope that you're just having a great sort of winter season. But the Christmas is always one of my favorite holidays and something very important to me from a faith perspective. But I think it's just a great time for everybody out there as well in terms of the new year. And I just wish the best for all my viewers. Thanks so much for watching. I love getting in front of the camera and trying to connect with you and offer some of my thoughts. And it just means so much that all of you have supported me with your subscriptions and your positive comments. So thanks, and I'll see you probably tomorrow because I've been doing a lot of videos, but I'll also do a special New Year video as well. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel to stay updated. I've also got Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, so you can follow me there. TreasureTownYT.com is the main channel website. Definitely give that a visit. I've got a lot of information about me up there and the channel. CoinGrabBag.com as well currently redirects there, but it's some good opportunities for very fair grab bags, both made by me and other sellers. A lot of different options, so that's a good way to support. There's also TreasureTownCoins.com. In the future, my coin dealing operation will be done out of that website. CoinMeltPrice.com for updates on the melt prices of your coins, both US and world. A lot of resources in that website. And then CoinsMetalsCards.com being developed right now as a marketplace and news source for coins, metals, cards, and collectibles in general. So I'll see you on my future videos. Looking forward to seeing you there, and hope you have a good day.